Well, first, I just want to acknowledge what Justin just said a moment ago, that the water is receding. It has hit that crest. That is some good news for people here in Frankfort who have seen some significant flooding over the course of the last few days. But unfortunately, despite not reaching that record level, the damage is already done. This is just one example right off Benson Avenue here in Frankfort, near the field where Frankfort High School plays their football games. You see just this entire neighborhood covered in water, cars fully engulfed, the streets all the way up significantly, because the Kentucky River is just a stone throws away from where we are currently standing. I've noticed it in a couple of spots as now the sun has come up, even on the streets where it's not this big sheet of ice. When buses have to turn, oh my God, we're continuing to slide here. So be very, very careful this morning. But when buses have to turn, they're not fully cleared, the turning lanes, and even in some of the roads that are a little more windier. So it's just so hard for these big buses to be able to turn. There's a pothole on Nicholasville Road, say at the intersection of Man of War and Nicholasville Road. So that'll be right around here. That would fall on the state to fill the pothole. Now, if the pothole was inside New Circle Road, say at the intersection of New Circle Road and Alumni, that would then fall on the city to fill. Then of things in life, there are good things and bad things, and the same is true for social media and politics. In the age we live in now, though, assistant professor in the University of Kentucky's Department of Political Science, Dr. Maggie McDonald, told me social media is not necessarily a tool for voters, rather for politicians. Let's start with some of the positives, though. One tick in the pro column is that social media lowers the barrier for entry for aspiring politicians. Currently, there is no timeline for when kids will actually be back in class in person, but judging by the roads this morning here in Clark County, they are certainly still very slick and some potential for some more icy spots with temperatures continuing to drop and more snow on the horizon. So after having two traditional snow days earlier in the week, they're now opting for an NTI day today. And this is a decision that Superintendent Dustin Howard says isn't one that comes up just by a flipping of a coin. They are made with careful consideration of a number of factors. Part of technology that has gotten a lot of attention in education is artificial intelligence, particularly at the college level, but you see it in the K through 12 level as well. How do you see that impacting both the ability for teachers to teach, but also students to maintain the academic integrity? Because that is a very large concern, as I'm sure you have read.
I liken AI very similar to when smartphones became very popular.
So we were talking about it before. You started playing in 2017.
That's right.
Where did you get that start?
So really my parents, they were the ones that kind of got me into the sport. And so yeah, I've been playing since 2017. The sport's really grown exponentially since then, which has been very cool to see. And that was kind of...
The students at the new Clark County Preschool are 3, 4, and 5 years old. Think back to when you were that age, the excitement you had for going to school and the sense of joy that each day brought. While students are going to get the foundations for a good education here, they are also going to get to be kids. This is a process that's been years and years and years in the making. What's it like to finally see it all done?
The day that we opened the doors was a dream come true. I actually become a little emotional because we have fought so hard for this.
Most educational journeys start with preschool, and for students in Clark County, that journey will be more exciting than ever. Why, you ask? Well, it's all because of a brand new state-of-the-art preschool with endless opportunities for the next generation of Cardinals.
It lays the foundation for all of our students here in Clark County, and we could not be more thrilled and excited to open up this building and be able to provide these opportunities for our children here in Clark County.
With some strong early reviews, it's safe to say the kids love the new building.
You can try going through the halls.
And why wouldn't they? Every detail was built with them in mind, regardless of where they are in their development.
67% of our population is served based on a disability.
Classrooms are split into 4 sections based on Kentucky landmarks. It's where they will learn their ABCs, their 1, 2, 3s, and many other important lessons.
I really feel like intentionality has been key in creating and building this particular building.
What's next? Where do we see, we kind of touched on it a lot already, but where do we see this building in helping shape Clark County and the district as a whole for years and years to come.
We're truly growing greatness here in Clark County, from our youngest learners, from our little cards and right up to our cardinals. We are truly growing greatness across the district, and it all starts here.
And a really cool part of our tour that unfortunately couldn't get into the piece just because of time, Principal Jillian Blanton told us that she's been with the district for years, and one of the funnest things for her is seeing the students that she first taught when they were preschoolers walk across the stage at GRC during graduation, and she's looking forward to this next generation who are starting this new school be able to do the same thing in a few years.
If you've ever been to Keeneland, it should come as no surprise that it takes a ton of work behind the scenes to give everyone the best experience.
And if you've never been to Keeneland, I feel like you should by the end of this week. Tyler Melito giving us all the details.
Shame on you.
For the remainder of the week, we're going to share some more stories about the people who have a hand in that effort.
The aforementioned Tyler Melito is talking all things wagering this morning.
Long before the first bet is placed each race day, Keeneland's wagering team is hard at work preparing to provide the best insight possible.
We have our meeting at 10 o'clock. We have our programs out. We're handicapping for the day.
For betologists like Greg Burke, much of the day is spent providing insight for the first-time bettor. But with more than a dozen betologists on staff, Burke says each one has their own approach of giving the information. Julie, she always talks about the breeding. John, he always talks about the DRF and the buyer number. Let's see, Marissa, she's always talking about conformation. She comes from the equine industry education-wise, and she knows how to look at a horse and tell what kind of horse is going to do well that day. But as Director of Wagering Development Jim Goodman explains, it's not just betting at the window the team at Keeneland keeps track of.
Only about 10% of our handle is here on track. So when we have a Saturday, for example, we did $22 million, and I think we did about 8% actually that day. So 92% of our handle was at other sources, including betting on the phone, betting through your computer, betting through the ADWs, or at a racetrack like Aqueduct or Santa Anita or Churchill Downs.
Now, just because your bet isn't a winner, this isn't like Vegas where the house always wins. Here at Keeneland, you're playing against everyone else who's placing a bet. It's called pari-mutuel wagering.
When you go to a casino and you're playing a hand of blackjack, you're playing against the house. So when you win money, the house loses and vice versa. In horse racing all over the country, it's pari-mutuel, so that we take a certain percentage of the handle for operating expenses to pay the purses. But you're absolutely correct. You lose, somebody else wins. With how many people place bets every day, Burke says it's hard not to have a smile on your face when someone wins.
It's so neat that when you work with somebody, and then later, like you said, later on the day, they might be passing by and it's like, hey, I cashed that ticket. And you know, it was probably only for about $3, but they cashed the ticket, and that's a big deal.
Reporting from Keeneland, Tyler Melito, Fox 56 News.